and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
Chasing. Fingers start shaking.
He's an author, an historian, a radio host out of the Bay Area, my home. He's the best known as the author of Funk, the Music, the People, and the Rhythm of the One. He's got a PhD in Ethnic Studies, a lecturer at UC Berkeley, City College of San Francisco, an assistant professor in Diversity Studies at the California College of the Arts. He's been in documentaries, TV, magazines, all the things. Dr. Rickey Vincent, welcome.
Hello, happy to be here. Well, not that happy because we have to talk about somebody that we lost, but it's always happy to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you on. And turn that up again, just a little second, Miles. You chose this one to start us off, Dr. Rickey Vincent, as we pay tribute to our loved one, the great Sly Stone. Why'd you choose this one?
This song is everything about the funk that needs to be about the funk. And it changed the game in 1970. And anyone that wants to figure out where all those funky beats and big fat bass lines and beautiful messages came from can start there.
You know, I think it was in the New York Times, I'm not sure, one of the things I was reading about, Sly Stone, that we always say each time we lose a giant, whether it's a James Brown, or a Prince or Frankie Beverly, we always say they changed the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Can all of them have changed the game?
A lot of people contributed to the game. A lot of people, scored a lot of points in the game. But I can definitely say that Sly Stone completely changed the game. And there's only one other person that did more changing of the game for modern American culture, modern black life and culture, and that's Sly Stone coming on the heels of James Brown kind of cracking open the code to the rhythms, to the funk, to the rhythm of the one. And then here comes this band that basically lets everybody else into the playground and lets everybody mix in what they do and do it their own way. And so it was an extension of the freedom everybody was exploring back in that time. They say it's the late 60s, but it was really the late civil rights movement. It was when everybody said, okay, well, the law said we're free. What does that mean? Let me figure that out. And Sly Stone said, well, here's your guidelines. Here's your roadmap to figuring out yourself how to get over the hump. And he did that. And he was number one on the charts, number one on the black charts, number one on the pop charts. And his shows were like that too. He had a hold of everybody. Before folks even knew what the formula was, Sly was creating new ones, bring people in.
When you say he invited everybody in, what do you mean by that?
Well, before I even get into how he does this thing with the West Coast, he, good music is accessible, really, no matter who you are and where you're from. And so Sly Stone was able to make hit songs. That's a skill. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about pizza toppings. If you can make hit songs, that's an important skill, right? But he was making hit songs about ideas that folks here out west, we live much more closely to these ideals. We live with this idea that diversity is a cool thing. It's a wonderful thing. That possibility is not a vague thing. It's how we live our life. Opportunities. Those aren't just random rhetorical things. These are like how we live. This is why we live, or our parents brought us out here to the West, and we started to reimagine what we could be. These are folks that, quite simply had escaped the Jim Crow South, and they had created this entire creative universe of their own through the blues, through all these roots of our music, and we're still contained and trapped, and that's why so many people left and went to the North and went to the West. And the folks that came out West took all that creative energy and started, announcing we're here, we are who we want to be. Stand. You can be who you want to be as long as you're free, as long as you believe it. So Sly was capturing all of these threads, all of these themes, all of these ideas of hope, and it felt real. I mean, you got to figure out how real your possibilities are, but Sly gave you a roadmap to sort of putting yourself together. And in the meantime, you're busy dancing. You're busy getting yourself, just sort of get your self-expression going. And everybody did that, but the thing was, Sly, there wasn't a formula, so people didn't figure it out. And by the time they sort of got the code and figured out Sly Stone and saw all these other bands imitating it, by the time they figured out, well, it was him. Wait, it was that guy that did it, and then they couldn't find him. So where'd he go? He came up, he shined so brightly like a comet that comes through and, shines up the night, and then where'd they go? And so people had been searching for Sly for 40 years. And because they wanted to, they knew there was something in there that they wanted to get, and he gave it to it. He gave it to everybody. That's all he ever did was give. And when you're a pop star, we don't let you age. You mentioned Prince. These people go before we let them. We don't let them age, and that was part of the struggle Michael Jackson had, Prince had. A lot of these folks, even James Brown, work until he drops. Right? People, we sort of. We demand a lot of our pop stars, and that's a bittersweet pill. But Sly was giving really all the way to the end.
Sylvester Stewart was his government name, and to your point, his family moved from the South, from Denton, Texas, to Vallejo, of all places, when he was a teenager. That Bay Area, I guess. We still consider Vallejo part of the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
That Bay Area.
It is.
It is. The Bay Area has a very special relationship to funk, doesn't it?
It certainly does, because if you think about a funk band, you don't think about a funk band with 2 or 3 members, or even 4 or 5, because all our favorite bands, like you said, Frankie Beverly and Maze, Kool and the Gang, Ohio Players, Bar-Kays, Zap, Average White Band. Don't get me started. I'll start talking about funk bands. But they all have 7, 8, 9, 10 members, 12 members. These are tribes, really. These are gatherings of folks that mesh their skills together. And out here, we mesh ideas and kind of spiritualities and worldviews together. And sometimes you can just feel it when you're hanging with people, or you sort of have a flow with folks that might look different. We live that the strength in diversity. We live it out here. And Sly was able to do that musically. And so in high school, there was a rock band. He was the best player in the rock band. There was a jazz band. He was the best player in the jazz band. There was a vocal group, a harmony group. He was the best singer in the harmony group. And when he'd go home and do the gospel, he was the best singer in the gospel group. So when it came time to arranging songs and writing songs, he just naturally connected all the dots. He studied. He very, very much like all the other giants, he was disciplined and knew all the forms and techniques and could have sat in a room and just done music theory with other people. But he used it to connect all the moving parts and make something that was greater than the sum of the parts. So when people hear a Sly Stone album, a Sly Stone experience, they get like, whoa, they feel that blues. They feel the power, the hard driving rock chords. They feel the soul singing. They feel all these dimensions to it. They feel all the jazz, all the techniques in there. And it's like all of it at once. It's like, wow, that's a different kind of one. It brings everything in. And that's what he did, and that's what people felt.
Yeah, I didn't realize Sly Stone was had a gospel group when he was 8. That they actually recorded his first recording when he was 8. And I also did not realize he was a DJ at KSOL in the Bay, a legendary.
He was a DJ, and Dominique, that was back when DJs ruled the roost.
Yeah.
And they were expected to have something to say. And I do remember when they sort of changed the idea of what a DJ was, and the promotion was less music, more talk. And no, it was
more music, less talk. In other words, STFU, all you air personalities. Thus, I'm now on talk radio. Yeah, be quiet. Just shut up and dribble.
Bringing that back, we have ideas. Yeah, we can have ideas. And so Sly Stone was that DJ that had ideas, and you appreciated the set of music because it wasn't coming from headquarters on the East Coast somewhere else.
Right.
It was his set of music, and he could, ad-lib a verse to a song from somebody he knew because he could out-sing the people on the records he was playing. So his talents were exploding.
Can't even imagine that. Dr. Rickey Vincent is our guest. We're talking about Sly Stone. We're talking Black Music Month, Black Genius, so to speak. 800-920-1580 if you've got a question, a comment, or a memory of Sly the Family Stone. We'd love to invite that in on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready? Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again. Holla.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this. Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There'll be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima. DiPrima with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
We love you.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Paying tribute to Sly Stone today, and really honored to have with us Dr. Rickey Vincent, author, radio host, and professor. A lot of jobs you got there. This this song is later in the career of Sly Stone, right?
Well, yes, but it was still at the start for many others. He was so far ahead of his time. Sly Stone was. He had sort of changed his approach by his fifth album, which was There's a Riot Going On in 1972. And that's when so many other artists that are legendary, like Stevie Wonder and Funkadelic, bands like that, they were just getting their sounds together around that time. And War, World is a Ghetto, that was around the time of this record. But Sly had already, knocked people out with Dance to the Music and got people to go. He had already turned out Woodstock with his great big hits off the Stand album, I Want to Take You Higher, things like that. And people are like, well, where else should you go? Take us somewhere else. And Sly was like, well, okay, I'll take you inside and do an internal search. And really, that whole Riot album was to use more current terms, it was a freestyle. And there were songs and people who were vamping. They were all flowing. And I know a lot of musicians that like, the freestyle funk. And they just get in the room and put a beat down, and musically they just tinker around, and vocally they would tinker around, and a lot of that Riot album is you put a theme, you put a groove in, and let it flow. And so he was that was like a second or even third phase of Sly and the Family Stone by 1972. And I remember the rock critics were like, this is such a murky and dark work and hard to understand. And I was like, it ain't hard to understand. Not if you live in this life. But that's what Sly was up against. The whole rock establishment had their own expectations. They had their expectations for the one Negro in the room, that type of thing. And then you had black folks that was like, we love going higher, keep it going, brother. And Sly had to develop a language really to reach everyone. And you don't necessarily do it with a chart, but you just sort of vibe it until something works. And it took him a couple of years. There's a Riot going on. Took like 2 years in between the album that preceded. That's why there's a famous greatest hits album, because they didn't have a whole album's worth of music, so they put a greatest hits out there. Because Sly was still tinkering. Sly was still, grooving. And then, you could say, well, he didn't know what he was doing. Well, another song on that album was Family Affair, and that was another number one hit. So
yeah, it's a great point. Someone in the chat, let me see who it is, says that Prince was greatly influenced by Sly. That's Ken Vanderbilt speaking in our YouTube chat. Who owes the most to Sly Stone as far as our musical icons of today?
It's I didn't understand this, but if some of y'all enjoy being crate diggers, where you go to the record store and
right.
just sort of peruse and you find something that's like exciting or funky or fresh or colorful, and you're like, whoa, this is new. I've never heard of this. The more you do it, the more you'll find others doing those things, and then you start to figure out, who did it first? Well, who was the one that really changed it for everybody? And you keep working your way backwards, and you find some funky looking Earth, Wind and Fire album cover. You find some Black Conscious Curtis Mayfield album cover, and you keep working your way backwards, and some with the artwork on the James Brown covers, and this is all deep stuff, and you find yourself digging into Sly Stone's music, right? And you realize that everybody you checked out on the way to that Sly Stone, gold nugget, down in the mind, everybody you study was influenced by Sly Stone. And the problem is you have to look carefully, but there are interviews with Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire who will say, yeah, it was Sly Stone that got me going. There are interviews with Stevie Wonder who will say, yeah, it was Sly Stone. Herbie Hancock has an album that broke the rules with jazz, the Headhunters album, a hugely important record. And track 3 on that album is called Sly. It's a 9-minute song that is pretty loony, but that's what the jazz interpretation of Sly Stone was at that time, because he changed all the rules. So there's so many people, and there's actually a story about Prince back then. Dominique, some of y'all listeners might remember a world before YouTube and online, music access, and people had bootleg video tapes, had VCR recordings and this and that, and folks that wanted those great concert footage or the midnight special and things like that, they had to trade in bootlegs and track people down. And there was a guy who worked with Sly and was his driver for a while, and he collected and he sold compilations of very, very rare live performances of Sly and the Family Stone, and he sold them to big stars that were interested. And he told me D'Angelo bought a set, and Michael Jackson's people bought a set, and Prince's people bought a set, and it was almost a who's who of fresh music in the 90s and early 2000s, because these are folks that were doing their homework, and they went to the source and said, can you get us this? And this is, like I said, you had to really be an investigator, a funk PI, private investigator, go and dig it up. And there were places, it's crazy. I mean, in Japan in the 1980s, they were rerunning Soul Train classic episodes. And all of us around here were hungry for the old school stuff. But they were playing it. So you could buy and trade bootleg VCR tapes of Soul Train from 1972.
Wow.
Stuff like that. John Cornelius hosted, letting people know who's the funk and who's the groundbreaking, this and that and the other. And definitely Prince was in line getting his package so that he could study that stuff. And it wasn't that hard to see. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, the Sly Stone story was slow to be told. And much respect to Questlove for his documentary called Sly Lives. Ironically, Sly Lives, that came out earlier this year. It was a great documentary, but maybe 40 years later than it needed to be.
We've got news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Rickey Vincent. A few folks have jumped in the chat with some questions. You're welcome to jump on the phone, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. Los Angeles Black Mayor Karen Bass says her city is being, quote, used for an experiment, end quote, as the federal government brings in National Guard and Marines to counter anti-ICE protests.
This kind of atmosphere, it creates a chaos in our city. People not sure whether they should go outside, whether they need to stay inside. We did not need this.
A judge is granting convicted killer John Hansen a temporary stay of execution in Oklahoma. The black man was scheduled to be executed Thursday after the state pardon and parole board voted to deny Hansen clemency. Hansen's attorney filed a lawsuit claiming the clemency hearing violated his rights. This year's BET Award took place Monday night in Los Angeles. Kendrick Lamar led the nominations with 10 and won Album of the Year, Best Male Hip Hop Artist, Video of the Year, and Video Director of the Year. Get BIN News Now on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
May 6th was World Asthma Day, and it's a critical time to raise awareness about your asthma. Did you know that Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to visit the emergency department due to their asthma? Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, avoiding known triggers, using prescribed medications correctly, and creating an asthma action plan with your healthcare professional. An action plan is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medications to take to help control your asthma when you're having a hard time breathing or having an asthma attack. Stay aware. Have a plan because your health matters. For more tips and resources on managing your asthma, visit luma-edu.com. luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Rickey Vincent, author, professor, and radio host is our guest, paying tribute to Sly Stone. I feel like we need some of that energy right about now, Professor Vincent.
Got to live together.
Yeah, we got to live together. No doubt. I mean, talk to me a little bit about the political consciousness of Sly Stone. Funny, I was reading an article in NPR, and they claim in the article that the Black Panther Party forced Sly Stone to get rid of the white people in his band, which I hadn't heard that before. It seems to run counter
That's
to my
ridiculous.
understanding of the Black Panther Party, who actually united quite a bit with brown people to great effect. But yeah, they say it as fact. So address that and end his political consciousness.
Okay, well, first of all, a couple things. If you're going to say the Black Panther Party, you're talking about an entity in 30 major cities with different people in different cities with different things they were focusing on. So that it's not one single amorphous entity with one position. But having said that, there's nothing in the Black Panther Party ideology that's about racial exclusivity. It's about black self-determination. And once you go there, everybody is they're down with them, they're down with them. That's a totally different thing. So they did, a lot of the political groups knocked on the dressing room doors of a lot of the entertainers during that time. And Jimi Hendrix would, have, gatherings in his dressing room with folks that came from the community. He went to high school with the people that founded the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. And so Jimmy and a lot of folks that are from, the working class experience, they didn't have any real, conflict with the folks other than, they came to entertain and let's not stay in our lane, but you do you, and I'll do my thing. And that was the gist of it. Did somebody in some city, say something out of pocket? I wouldn't be surprised. That was a wild time. And in these wild times, which we're encountering again, wild things go down, but then there's a bigger picture. And you guys are providing that, just with the reporting on what's going on. There's a bigger issue. And on the ground, yes, it gets chaotic. Did the Panthers, did Huey Newton and Eldridge Cleveland, did they demand, they extort money? If you want to talk about behind the scenes in rock and roll, there's quite a bit of sordid stuff.
Right?
You'd be unpacking. And so at that, so I don't really try to identify things of that nature, because both were doing parallel work. They were both seeking to awaken the community. They were both seeking to inspire people to do more than, or to be more than they are. And in some cases, do more than they're doing. And in some cases, just engage. Don't stand on the sidelines. Be involved. Sly was always doing that. That crazy song we started with, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, from the outside in, that's a song about gratitude. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I can feel the freedom. That's a nice song. The first lines of that song are, looking at the devil, grinning at his gun. What does that mean? He's talking about the police. He's talking about the power structure. He's talking about, I'm looking dead at you, and I'm not intimidated by you, Mr. Power Structure type of thing. And, you're going to have to deal with the fact that we're not afraid of you. And that was a revelation back then. And it's important to kind of understand that. But what you do with great music is you listen to it more than once. You listen to it over and over again. You listen to the layers. You listen to the meanings. You listen to the melodies. You listen to the flow, to the groove. And this is why people still haven't unpacked Sly, because today's music, we know this, people count the music by beats per minute. They say, well, okay, this song here is 90 beats that's 100 beats per minute. Sly Stone's music was concept per minute, was ideas per minute. And he would have so many things to say in a verse here and a verse there. You were like, wait, let me rewind. But wait a minute, I'm dancing too hard. I'll come back to it. And you just want more and more, because there's still so much in there. And Sly always talked about it. There's more. There's always stuff to put in there that fits in there. And the great music, whatever it is, the great music is worthy of revisiting constantly. And when you do that with Sly, it's a satisfying thing. It never lets you down.
Where does that political consciousness come from, you think?
Sly's political consciousness emerged, first of all, from a lot of folks that made it west were headed out here as a result of an emergency, as an overnight, one of those things where somebody in your family stands up to some racist in Texas, and all of a sudden the word is, your family better get out of town or else. And that was the trigger for a lot of families making it out of the South out here because they weren't going to take it anymore. And that's the lore for what sparked the quick move from Denton, Texas, to the Bay. And that's not uncommon. There's a lot of your listeners probably have stories about that.
For sure.
Grandparents came out here, because the sheriff or the Klan or just somebody, with the means said, we can destroy what you do. And they just said that we have an opportunity, we're going to go for it. And they did. And so Sly understood, the sense of justice that his father, established in the home, in the traditional home that they had, and the Pentecostal church experience that he had of justice that he had. And then he lived in Vallejo, which is very much a multicultural community. And so he lived this sense of a community, of justice, of how this is how you're supposed to live. And then everybody growing up, saw what was happening, saw, like many his age, Sly's age, was eligible for the military draft. So you understand the structure of how the government can turn things upside down on you. Like what's going on right now this week. The government can just turn on you without, if you don't know, if you're not paying attention, you can see that happening. And so Sly was paying attention. And as an artist, his methods are to capture the energy, capture the vibe, and focus what people are feeling. That's what the great artists all did. And what does Sly say? My only weapon is my pen. I'm a poet. That's what he was saying. He could interpret what folks were dealing with. So it's not. So is that political? Well, we're in a point now where common sense is treated as radical extremism. So it now falls into that category. A common sense social consciousness of unity is somehow labeled somewhere on the extreme. But if that's the extreme, give me some more of that extreme funk music.
Give me that extreme funk music. Well, I'm going to run, not walk to see Questlove's Sly Lives, a.k.a. The Burden of Black Genius. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm glad it's there. And he certainly wrote a heartfelt tribute to Sly Stone. As, you're sharing heartfelt tributes today. It's not too late to call us, 800-920-1580. We're talking with Dr. Rickey Vincent. We're paying tribute to Sly Stone. Happy Black Music Month. Even though it's a sad occasion, rest in peace, Sly Stone.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at Enel Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other black influencers in the climate and health fields as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Catch Prep is now enrolling for summer credit recovery in fall 2025. As South Los Angeles' top-performing high school in English, math, and college access, Catch Prep is welcoming all 9th through 12th graders to enroll now. Catch Prep offers a small, supportive, and safe learning environment to help all students succeed, so that all students feel valued, respected, and motivated to reach their full potential. For the past 20 years, Catch Prep has helped more students of color gain admission to top-tier universities, with our graduating seniors earning a total of $3 million in scholarships, more than any other school in Los Angeles. We are dedicated to helping all students turn your college dreams into reality. Catch Prep is now enrolling. Visit us online at catchhighschool.com or call 323-293-3917. Space is limited. Please enroll now for summer credit recovery and fall 2025. Call 323-293-3917 or enroll today at catchhighschool.com.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text EQUAL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text EQUAL to 321-321. That's EQUAL to 321-321.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
child grows up to be somebody that just loves to learn, and another child grows up to be somebody you just love to burn. Mom loves the both of them. You see, it's in the blood. Both kids are good to mom. Blood's thicker than the mud. It's a family affair. It's a family affair.
KBLA Talk 1580. What a great way to start our day, paying tribute to Sly Stone. And what a perfect guest to join us for that endeavor, Dr. Rickey Vincent. He is an author, a professor, and an air personality. We didn't talk about Sly Stone, the fashion icon. I don't know if you want to say something about that. I think a lot of folks owe Sly on that in that area too.
I used to go down to the Sears and see if those outfits were on the rack somewhere. I could go and get one. But typically there was someone, when they talk about the family, it was an extended family. And there were people, Dominique, you maybe in your family too, that there were folks that made clothes for you when you were young.
No, I didn't have those folks, sadly.
Well, there was a sewing machine in the closet, and Grandma knew how to, keep so that's our quilting tradition. All this, so there were people that were making clothes, and they got put into action to make outfits for the band on the road.
Wow.
And now that we've seen so many the video footage of them, I've never seen them wear the same thing twice on any performance. So there's somebody, on the road with the band, quite literally making outfits, as their tours continued and things like that. Or they'd mix and match them, but I mean, there's some pretty outrageous looks some of them had. And Dick Cavett asked him about the fashion thing one time, and he said, "Would it be okay if I got on the band with my suit, my business suit that I was?" And he's like, "You dress any way you like, do it the way you want." So you got the impression that that was part of the freedom. It was like show up and do you in the band. There's the arrangement for the song, and we're all in this, but you are you in this, and that was the message. Even if it was coached or whatever, but they definitely, the whole band brought that. And somehow, some way, Sly Stone was the lightning rod. He was able to be even more colorful than everybody else that was colorful in the group. That was special, because a lot of us, I grew up around a lot of folks that were doing this kind of funky fusion, this R&B funky fusion thing, and there were great instrumentalists in town growing up at Berkeley High and this and that. But one thing that there really wasn't was somebody that could be a stage presence and have the charisma that was the sum of all the parts that Sly provided. A lot of us sort of came up in the shadow of Sly's music. But that's a joyful process right there, just to be doing that. But it was hard for anybody to step in those shoes.
Yeah, and it creates social grace and space and latitude for people. We had someone call in right now who couldn't stay on the phone, wanted to know, are we expecting the release of posthumous material on Sly Stone?
Well, the Sly lives, Questlove was well connected, as you know. But Sly lives, there's like new release, there's an extended version of Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. If you look up Sly Lives with the exclamation point on your music platforms, there's a bunch of stuff that is just now being unearthed. And there's an early concert of the band in 1966, I think, before they had an album. And they were just coming together. And that is on vinyl now. I think it comes out July next month. So there was already in place some stuff for the serious collectors like us, and so that there's been that pipeline.
I didn't bring up we didn't talk about the drugs and the troubles because I feel it's been talked about ad nauseum. But is that the real reason, or is there another reason why perhaps Sly Stone is underrated?
Well, it's funny. There are some artists that fade with drugs and we sympathize with them and okay, thank you for your craft. But somehow there's this zealous desire to look at the flame out of some of these black superstars. And so that's an issue that some folks, that I have that issue also. That story, how people self-medicate through the trauma of public perception is, that's a thing. That's a real issue. And if you think about it, on the front end, what Sly did was incredible. He was a black superstar to black folks, and he was a rock superstar to America, and yet he had to take on all of that at once. And most artists are one or the other. Yeah. Sly was the only, that 69, his band was the only one that played the Summer of Soul in Harlem and played Woodstock up in upstate New York with all the hippies and all that. And he was both of those worlds. And so if you're going to try to retreat from that and recover from all of that, that's heavy lifting.
Yep. We've got to leave it there. Dr. Rickey Vincent, thank you so much. I've enjoyed the conversation immensely.
Well, it's always great talking to you, Dominique.
Tavis Smiley's up next, and he's got a great show on tap for you. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. Los Angeles Black Mayor Karen Bass says her city is being, quote, used for an experiment, end quote, as the federal government brings in National Guard and Marines to counter anti-ICE protests.
This kind of